We in India pride ourselves on being a democracy. The idea of participation in decision making and having the consent of citizens are the elements that collectively make us a democracy, and this is best expressed in the institution of the Parliament. As the Parliament enables citizens of India to participate in decision making and control the government, it is considered as the most important symbol of Indian democracy and a key feature of the Constitution. In this chapter, we will study: why should people decide? Under the colonial rule in India, the people had lived in fear of the British government and did not agree with many of the decisions that they took. However, the Indian freedom struggle changed this scenario a bit as the nationalists began openly criticizing the British government and make demands. Owing to such growing demands of the nationalists, the Government of India Act 1909 allowed for some elected representation, but still all adults were not allowed to vote, nor could people participate in decision making. The experience of the colonial rule had injected a common feeling among the nationalists that the government in independent India should be sensitive to people's needs and demands. Thus, the Constitution of Independent India laid down the principle of universal adult franchise, that is, that all adult citizens of the country have the right to vote. People and their representatives. The takeoff point for a democracy is the idea of consent, that is, the desire, approval, and participation of the people. But how does the individual give approval to the government? One way of doing so is through elections. People elect their representatives to the Parliament, then one group from among these elected representatives forms the government. The Parliament, which is made up of all representatives together, controls and guides the government. In this sense, people, through their chosen representatives, form the government and also control it. How is the Parliament formed? The Parliament in our system has immense powers because it is the representative of the people. During elections, the country is divided into numerous constituencies. Each of these constituencies elects one person to the Parliament. Once elected, these candidates become members of Parliament or MPs, and collectively they make up the Parliament. The Parliament of India consists of the President, the Rajya Sabha, and the Lok Sabha. Once the Lok Sabha elections are over, a list is prepared showing how many MPs belong to each political party. To form the government, a political party must have a majority of the elected MPs, which is 272 members or more, since the total number of elected are 543 members. The opposition in Parliament is formed by all the political parties that oppose the majority party. The largest amongst these parties is called the opposition party. The role of the Parliament: select the national government. The most important function of the Lok Sabha is to select the executive. The executive is a group of people who work together to implement the laws made by the Parliament. The Prime Minister of India is the leader of the ruling party in the Lok Sabha. From the MPs who belong to his party, the Prime Minister selects ministers to work with him to implement decisions. These ministers then take charge of different areas of government functioning like health, education, finance, etc. The Rajya Sabha represents the states of India in the Parliament. Its role is to review and alter the laws initiated by the Lok Sabha. A bill is required to pass through the Rajya Sabha in order to become a law. The members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the legislative assemblies of various states. There are 233 elected members plus 12 members nominated by the President. The role of the Parliament: control, guide and inform the government. The opposition parties of the parliament play a critical role in the healthy functioning of a democracy. By using mechanisms like question hour, they highlight drawbacks in various policies and programs of the government and mobilize popular support for their own policies. This way, the government also gets valuable feedback and is kept on its toes. Thus, the MPs as representatives of the people have a central role in controlling, guiding and informing the parliament. Who are the people in the parliament? Parliament now has more and more people from different backgrounds and thus has become more representative. This is because there is a realization that when interests and experiences separate us, it is important to ensure that communities that have been historically marginalized are given adequate representation. Thus, in Parliament, some seats are reserved for SCs and STs to represent Dalit and Adivasi interests in Parliament.